Guys, what unspoken rules do you have? Back when we were younger and would go to bars hoping to meet girls, I started noticing a recurring thing. One of our friends would start talking to someone, they'd hit it off, things seemed to be going well, he'd even bring her over to our table. But then the conversation would start to fade and inevitably he'd go to the bathroom. I don't know, maybe it's some kind of mental reset, or he just goes to look at himself in the mirror and pep himself up. But I decided for myself, if one of my friends seems to have a chance while he's in the bathroom, I'll say something good about him. Like, do you like animals? You should ask him about the box of kittens he rescued. You know, when he comes back, instead of a polite "it was nice to meet you," he's met with interest and a bunch of questions, and a new round of conversation starts. That's how small support can really change everything. If you're asking the guys to help with moving or unloading furniture, be a good friend and feed them and give them something to drink. That's non-negotiable, it's the law. If a bro calls you in the middle of the night and says, "Hey, you up for coffee?" you don't ask questions, you just answer, "Where should we meet?" Those calls don't happen for no reason. Something's happened, he needs to vent. And you show up without saying a word. Sitting in the passenger seat isn't just riding along, it's being the navigator. You're not a passenger, you're a co-pilot. Your job is to watch the route, put on music, hand over water, check where to turn. You're responsible for the driver's comfort and support. It's a position, not a privilege. I don't know if anyone else uses this expression, but my friends and I call it monkey math. The idea is simple. The longer you're friends, the more the understanding of who owes who what fades away. For drinks, for taxis, for tickets, for hotel rooms. And it wouldn't surprise me, he might owe me just as much, and I wouldn't even think about it. It's all just dissolved. We stopped counting a long time ago. It's not the most important point in the bro code, but it's probably the most underrated. The feeling of freedom when you're with people for whom the time spent together is more important than money. When you buy everyone around, hand it out, and no one feels obligated to return the favor, because everyone's already done it for each other hundreds of times. It's become the norm, a circle of generosity where kindness is the unspoken rule. And these are the real male moments. Without saying a word, we just stopped counting a long time ago. If the beer is free, you don't complain about the brand. Never. It's a sacred law. The only acceptable complaint is the temperature. And even then, only as a joke, like, well, a little warmer, and you could brew tea with it. Free beer is good by definition. Anything else is a whim, unworthy of a real man. True character isn't measured by who you can humiliate, but by who you can lift up. Strength isn't about dominance, or showing off, or looking cooler at the expense of others. Real men aren't assholes. They don't prove their worth by breaking others. They make those around them stronger. That's what respect, maturity, and the essence of true manhood are all about. If a friend calls and says, "Bro, I need help, can you pick me up?" you don't ask what happened, you only ask one thing: "Where are you?" And you head out. You can discuss everything else later, or not discuss it at all. The main thing is, you showed up. If you brought your friend 12 beers and only drank 8, congratulations, you gifted him the remaining 4. Next time, he might do the same for you. That's how the circle of beer works in nature. Sometimes he'll sneak you a couple of beers if you run out. Sometimes you'll leave a few for him, just because that's how it's done. It's all based on trust, without counting our debts. And yes, it only works as long as everything is more or less mutual. If someone is constantly just consuming and never bringing their share, the circle closes, and so does the conversation. No one taught us how to do it. No one explained when or why. But everyone knows it's a wordless gesture that says, "I see you, everything's okay, respect." It's just built into us somewhere deep down. And between our own, that's always enough. I'm not sure if you can call it part of the male code, but the rule works flawlessly. If you're the first to enter the elevator and you're standing by the panel, just silently point to the buttons. You don't have to say anything, you don't have to look at anyone, just gesture. People will tell you what floor to press. But if you're not ready to bear this sacred time, don't approach the buttons. Leave that role to someone who understands what he's dealing with. Never take the middle urinal first, always start with the one on the end, left to right. This is an unspoken rule of the public restroom. You leave people space, you minimize awkwardness. The middle one is for extreme cases, when everything else is already occupied. If you break this, you're a deserter in the battle for comfort. It always surprises me that everyone first remembers the rules about urinals. It's It's not so much underrated, it's already a basic instinct, built in like breathing. But the really underrated rule of the male code is if a bro is doing something and asks for help, you help. Without showing off, without bragging, without "remember when I helped you back then?" You just take it and do it. Because the very fact that you were asked is already the highest sign of trust. Guys rarely ask for help, and if he turned to you, it means you're one of his own. And if you ask and you're refused, that's it. He's not a brother, he's an enemy in a friend's clothing. He's the kind that will steal your girl and take your last beer. And order a $5,000 steak and then say, "Well, we're splitting it in half, right?" A leech. There's no place for such people at the common table. That's why the rules distinguish boys from men. It's timeless. It's eternal. That's what the real bro code is all about. You call and he comes. No questions, no showmanship, no extra explanations. You're up to your neck in shit without a life raft and he just appears. It doesn't matter if it's night, rain, snow, or if you're in the middle of nowhere. He'll come. I had friends when I was a kid, and one of them once called like that. It was almost midnight. He says, "Bro, I need milk from Kroger, urgently." 11:30 p.m. And I know this guy, he doesn't cook. And definitely not at night. He'd rather stop by Taco Bell, but I realized it wasn't about the milk. We still call it the milk run. No questions asked, you call, I'm there. In the end, we talked until 4 a.m., maybe later. I don't regret a second. On the contrary, I'm grateful that I was there when it was needed. Glad I could be the one you called, Lem. It's a pity we don't talk anymore. I once saw a guy struggling to change a tire. He was obviously not coping. I went over to help. He was young, trying to unscrew the nuts after he'd already lifted the wheel. And as we know, that's not how it's done. It turned out he was on a first date and had never done it before. So I pretended I was just passing by, like, "Hey, buddy, long time no see." And in between, I gave him advice on how to do everything right, without lecturing, without humiliation, so as not to look helpless in front of the girl. I hope everything worked out for him. Sometimes the real help isn't to decide for someone, but just to play along, so that person doesn't lose face. Never humiliate other guys, especially your friends, trying to impress a girl. She'll notice this and most likely think you're pathetic and insecure, and will still reject you. And in general, it's low. A real man lifts up his friends, not sinks them for likes and fleeting attention. If you need to belittle someone to look better, you've already lost. If I told you something, keep your damn mouth shut. I only told one person. No gossip, no accidental leaks. Trust is not a toy, it either exists or it doesn't. If you don't know how to keep other people's words, no one will share anything with you except silence. When a man nods to you, you have to nod back. It's not just a gesture, it's a form of silent respect. Not returning a nod is like saying fuck you. Even if you don't know him, even if you're not friends, the nod is returned. It's a rule, it's a ritual, it's a code. If a bro is treating, you don't order a dish more expensive than his. It's not restaurant etiquette, it's respect. He's paying, you don't get greedy. He ordered a burger, you don't take a steak. He took a beer, you don't take a $1,000 cocktail. It's all simple, behave decently as if you were paying, even if he is. Don't let your bros be assholes, neither in the bar, nor in the company, nor in life. If you see him overdoing it, stop him. Don't agree with